Oh, yeah, baby. Your boy back for the second time today. The second episode of VypDrive is now live, or at least according to StreamYard anyway. Now I just got to wait for YouTube to let the rest of Vype Nation know that we are live and we get to do it all again, baby. We get to do it again. And look, there it is. YouTube being on point with the notification, which means the entirety of Vype Nation knows that we are live. Actually, you know what? Before we begin, I need to show you guys something before we begin here. Let me see if I can bring this up real quick. Wait to do this. Actually, let's see this. Let me go to listings. I'm gonna check something out real quick. All right, boom, there it is. All right. Okay, yes. Okay, cool. Introduce that at some point. Oh, look, we got people rocking and rolling into the chat already. What's up, Apple Monster? How you doing? We got Jason. I'm not even about to butcher your last name, but what's up, man? How you doing? Tech Way is in the cut. Digital Grind. Okay, what's up? Khalil, what's happening? Bionic Scoop. 2-8 Tech, what's happening? How y'all doing? We got some Scott Peachy fans in here because I've never seen some of you all in here before. So welcome to your first episode of VypDrive. I appreciate y'all rocking out. What's up? What's up? Contractor POV is in the building. What's up, man? How you doing, baby? How you doing? All right, so I'm going to give you all a couple of minutes to file in before we begin the podcast with Mr. Scott Peachy himself, and we'll give you guys a couple of minutes, and then we'll go ahead and begin. Oh, I see Digital Flame down there too. Yeah, what's up? What's up? How y'all doing? Man. Like I said, I'm always amazed that you guys keep coming back every time I live stream with the inordinate amount of frequency in which I live stream, especially for these podcasts. And like I told you guys, I took last week off, but the podcast is about to pick up right where we left off. Cause I got like another 8 podcasts lined up all on the road damn near. So yeah, your notification box is gonna be a little busy for the next week or two. But probably longer than that if I keep going on this pace. I'm on like a torrid pace with these podcasts right now. But hey, I'm getting availability that I normally wouldn't get, so I'm taking advantage of it. But let's go ahead and get my man Scott in here. And yeah, we'll go to work. Wait a minute, where we at? All right. Let's do what we gotta do. So this is VypDrive episode 116. And 116 brings in one of my personal favorites, man. We got a guy who's been a judge a lot of times in these tech fights that I've alluded to on the podcast. He just recently won a tech fight that he was actually in as a participant. He does tech content on YouTube. We got the man, the myth, the legend himself, and he's coming up next on VypDrive, which starts now. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, and welcome back to another episode of VypDrive. This is the podcast about tech, hosted by the man about tech. And tonight, I have a tech fight judge, a tech fight winner, a guy who always lets you know what he's thinking about the emotion on his face. If you watch these tech fights, he does awesome tech content on his Technically Speaking YouTube channel. That's right. We got to bring in Mr. Peachy himself. Scott Peachy is in the building. What's up, bro? How you doing?
What's going on, Viper? I gotta match your energy, man. Jeez, I gotta get up here. Let's do this, man. I'm ready for it.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. You know how we do on the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, my friend. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for taking the time to join me, man. I appreciate you.
Dude, I appreciate you just having me on. I love this stuff. You know this. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. And I'm hyped up. I gotta have you as I even brought my, don't you worry, I got a cigar right here. This is my victory cigar.
You got the victory cigar. Okay. We'll get to that a little later. We'll get to that. All right. But first question I ask every first time guest that comes to the podcast, Scott, what brought you to YouTube?
A bet. I came to YouTube on a bet. I came to YouTube on a bet. It was a steak dinner bet. Steak dinner bet. True story. The other creator on my channel was Greg. Greg, absolutely my best friend in the whole entire world. We made a bet. We said we wanted to get better at public speaking and speaking to a camera because we're like, man, this video stuff, we should probably pay attention to this. Made a bet, the 30-day challenge. If you go back and look at some of my first videos, and they are god awful. It started with a steak dinner bet that said no editing, a 2 or 3 minute video every single day for 30 days. And that's right. I took the W on that one too. So it started on a steak dinner bet, and I have just been going ever since.
Hold on. Time out. Let me get this straight. You just told me that you came to YouTube on a bet?
A bet. Straight up a bet. A bet.
You know, I cannot tell you how many times I've asked this question, and I have never, ever received that answer.
A bet. Straight up.
Wow.
And I honestly, I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. One of my most popular videos has nothing to do with tech. It has to do with making a backdrop on a PVC pipe. It was the 8th video I ever made in my entire life. Yeah.
Y'all, he said a bet, y'all. He's not with a straight face. He just said he came to YouTube on a bet, y'all. I mean, you know, but that's the beauty of you. That's the beauty of YouTube, because anybody can come on the platform for any reason at all and just have fun with it. And obviously, you got over 16,000 subscribers, so you must be doing something right. So I guess my next question is, how did you go from a bet to making tech videos?
So tech has always been something I've loved, and I'm a huge nerd. Like, I love data, I love tech, I love IT, I love all that stuff. But consumer electronics is really where it was. I actually, before a lot of this, and I still am to this very day, a Google product expert. So I've made, and now all my Googles in my house are going crazy. I made on their website out on Google, you can go to like the product expert forum and talk about users helping users. So a lot of times that's exactly how I also got started. So there's a ton of videos out on my channel where I talk about, how do you, boot into a recovery mode on an Android or a Nexus before it went to Pixel. That was another thing that really got me started on making YouTube videos as well. Is like, once I started that bet, it was like, oh, well, I should actually make videos that go out and help people. And it's just kind of evolved, and I've just kind of stayed with it, consumer electronic stuff.
Now, speaking of Google and you being a Google product expert, one of the more recent videos on your channel is your thoughts on the Pixel Buds 2. And I mean, I think I watched a few minutes of the video, but and for those of y'all listening on audio, he has them in his hand because those are like his babies. You are a big fan of these, so talk about your experience with the Google Pixel Buds 2.
Yeah, so the Pixel Buds 2, these are definitely, it's these and the AirPod Pros are my favorite headphones I've had a chance to review from a truly wireless perspective. So full disclosure, the very first time I actually tried these, as I dropped them, and now they're on the floor because I didn't really want them anyway, is I had the left bud dropping out constantly. And that was something that everybody talked about. But once they've made some software updates to the very first edition, and also I actually sent them back and got a brand new pair, I've had no issues ever since then. And like my video says, the only time it was an issue was when I was mowing the lawn, which maybe it just didn't want to mow like me. And I get it because it was hot. But the sound is incredible for a truly wireless bud. That's why between it and the AirPod Pros, it's right up there in terms of just how much I love music. Because I love music. Like, I'll go out. Like, you had video reviews on headphones. I watch basically every El Jefe video ever when it comes to headphones. But like, I keep coming back to the Pixel because of the power of the assistant. I have voice assistant like addiction when it comes to Google Assistant. I love her.
So
she's amazing.
If you're gonna fall in love with a digital assistant, Google Assistant is the one, because she is the best one out of all of them. I mean, Alexa, the Amazon A Girl is great. Sorry if I just set some of y'all Alexa's off. You know, it is what it is. The Amazon A Girl is great. We won't get into Siri because Siri is just so far behind she can't even catch up anymore. But Google Assistant is the absolute best virtual assistant out there out of all of them.
I mean, when I ask for a question, she always responds back with, well, this is the answer. And then it gives you the website if you want it. Whereas Apple's a little different. It's like, I found this on the web. I'm like, but read that to me. Like, read that, because most of the time when it returns something, it's right. I just want it to be read to me because that's why I use the voice assistant.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So that's the thing that always gets me with Siri. It usually has the right answer. I just read it to me, Siri. Just give me your velvety tones.
I cannot tell you how annoyed I get at Siri when I ask her a question and she references something from the web or whatever. She's like, oh, this is such and such on blah, blah, blah.com. I'm like, how does that help me? Like, I'm asking you to have to do all that legwork. I'm trying to get you to do the legwork, Siri. You're supposed to be the middleman, the middle woman. What are you doing? You're useless. Useless.
Exactly. Just read it to me. That's fine. And now the Google Assistant on their Pixel phones has the ability to read articles. Holy crap. It's amazing. So
And
I can
like,
have
and alluding to that, it's so embarrassing when I ask Siri a question and she goes to such and such website, blah blah blah, and then I ask the same question to my Android. And Google's like, March 8th, 1994, Jordan Washington Bush, blah blah blah. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want.
Yeah, and it's the contextual awareness. It's like, okay, you're like, hey, keyword, how tall is Michael Jordan? It gives you the answer. Then says
Immediately.
You go, how old was he? Or how old is he? You don't have to say Jordan again. You just say he. And it's like,
Right.
oh, yeah, you were still talking about Jordan. Let me give you this. Like, okay, who's he married to? Gives you the next one. It's like, oh, it knows context. Oh.
I mean, I know we kind of get down on Google for what they do with our data and things like that, but at least we know they're putting it to good use with that assistant, because that assistant is A1.
Love it. Love it. Yep. All in on the Google Assistant.
Definitely. So I want to talk about a purchase that I made recently and something I've seen on your channel. And I watched your video that you did on it. Of course, I'm talking about the Rodecaster Pro. Now, I've talked about this on the podcast before, but for those of y'all that are not familiar with the Rodecaster Pro, it is an all-in-one podcast studio, soundboard, mixer, interface. It's literally an all-in-one, do-everything type device. It is $600. It's not cheap. But if you pair it with a Rode mic, like me and Scott are doing right now, Scott is using the Rode Pod mic, I'm using the Rode Procaster. But if you pair this interface or this soundboard podcast solution with a Rode mic, it is talk about why you purchased yours, because I know I purchased mine because I do a lot of podcasts and I wanted to get the best sound possible and I wanted to have the soundboard. But why did you purchase yours?
So, true story, I actually did not purchase mine. A fan of the channel sent it to me.
What am I doing wrong? Good God.
I couldn't believe it. So the other guy on our channel, Stats, who's on Wednesdays, he got a message from one of the people, and she well, I already kind of outed her. So she has asked not to be named, and I have to this date not named her because she says, I love everything that you're doing. She loved Greg and I when Greg was still living. So it was she knew us well, and she goes, I don't want you to give up. And she is one of the reasons why I have kept doing live shows, because she's inspired me. I love her to death. But yeah, she's a fan. She sent me this. So that's kind of the origin story of how I got this. But I use it for everything. Like I do. I mean, obviously I do live shows on Wednesdays. Every live show that I'm on, I'm using this for, like, I've been quarantined just like everybody else because of COVID. Right. And I have been using it for all my work calls. I have the best sounding voice in the entire office. No one holds a candle to me at my work because of they're like, it's totally not fair. You're putting everything through your soundboard. That's not fair. I'm like, well, I mean, you can hate the player, but can't hate the game.
So I absolutely love the thing. I watched so many videos and talked to so many people before I made my purchase, because I wanted to get an idea of how would I use it, because obviously this thing is huge. It comes with 4 microphone inputs. So I'm like, you know what? All my material I do by myself. So it's not like I'm having a guest in person, especially not anytime soon with what's going on. So I'm like, do I really need all of this? Do I really need a setup with 4 microphone inputs and all of this extra functionality that I may or may not use? But after talking to all of you all and talking to and watching all the videos, I'm like, you know what, Viper, just make the purchase, and if you don't like it, you can return it. But I made the purchase, and I'm in heaven, dude. This thing is amazing.
It is incredible. And just like what you were doing the other day on Friday Night Vype, where you had a phone call coming in, man, think about that. Like, that was so easy to use. It was literally like plug in the phone, turn it on. You can even Bluetooth it. It was like, there's so many different ways you can use this thing. You can have multiple people from different areas of the world, and they all sound incredible. And it's one unique sound. And it's like, oh my God, this is exactly how it's supposed to be in terms of how easy it is. Love it.
Yeah, it's like you said, I Bluetooth my phone into the Rodecaster Pro, and I had people from all over the world calling me on Friday night. And it's like you said, it's so easy and it's amazing.
I love it. Yeah, dude, it's so good. And then the big giant record button. Like, if you wanted to record straight to it, one of the videos, like I've went live from a parking lot with the Rodecaster Pro. Yeah. Like, I just used Verizon's 5G. It was like, okay, cool. It fits right in my backpack. That's what most people don't realize. It's just that easy to use.
Yeah. Okay. So about that big record button, it wasn't doing it before, but I recently put a memory card into it, and now the record button is blinking. Is there any way to get it to stop blinking or
Is
pulsating?
is it blinking or like pulsating?
Pulsating.
Yeah, so mine pulsates all the time.
Okay.
It's the green color that just kind of like glows like this.
Yeah, before it was blue, but now when I put the memory card in, it turned green, and now it's pulsating a lot.
Yeah, so that's the reason is, from what I'm gathering, because I started to freak out, was it's basically telling you like, hey, you're ready to go. The blue was you have no anything in it, you can't record. The green basically says you're good to go. Boop.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because like I said, it wasn't happening, so I put the memory card in there. So now it's like, okay, gotcha. That's interesting. I'm like, man, hopefully that's like, I mean, I have it plugged into power, so I mean, it doesn't really matter about battery power and all that. But yeah, this thing is absolutely, utterly amazing. Love it. Don't have any regrets about it at all.
I would, yeah, it's could be one of the best purchases anybody could have, because if you're doing because you can do so much video, podcasting, all of that. It's so many different ways you can use it. Make sure you get that kit. So if you sign up, if you go to Rode and prove that you actually, like, their website, and prove that you purchased it, like proof of purchase, you get this kit that's sent to you where they send this big giant battery pack. Let's see if I can get a frame. It's 26,000 milliamps. This is how you can go live using a battery pack like I did. They send that, plus they send all the cords that you need to go live, where you don't have to take any of your cords. So go there. It's like when you basically register it for the warranty, you can either get a longer extended warranty or like this like special pack that gives you all these extra cords and all kinds of stuff. So definitely check that out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That is news for me.
It takes forever to get there. It took literally like 8 weeks for it to arrive, but it does arrive, and it's totally worth it.
Well, thank you. I will have to look that up after this podcast. Definitely,
absolutely, my friend.
That's what's up. Oh man, but you know what? It's funny because, like you said, I brought it thinking I would just use it for my podcast, but like you said, I use it for actually recording my videos now, because the technology in this thing is quite amazing, because it has like a noise gate, where it blocks out any sound around me, and I could just like speak it to the microphone, and I'm going. Like, obviously, in summertime it's hot, so I got the air conditioner on in the back, and it makes it hard to record with my regular microphone. But with the Rode Procaster plugged into this Rodecaster Pro, the noise gate technology cancels out my air conditioner, so I can actually record a video without worrying about background noise. Like, even if somebody's outside mowing the grass, wouldn't matter. It wouldn't even pick it up. So I'm using it to actually do actual videos and just beyond my podcast. So it's like, man, I didn't know I was going to use it for all that, but damn, I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, I use it sometimes. Like, I will record with my camera straight to my Mac, pulling in the audio from the Rode. Using like another surfer's like Ecamm or whatever, and it's so much easier. Like, when, 4 or 5 years ago, you talk about like this was just never a possibility, and now we can make content at the drop of a hat. I mean, we can make content with our iPhones and stuff like that, but at the drop of a hat, we can make content, and it sound and look so much better than what some newscasters and everybody are dealing with right now. Like, when everybody went home, they're all like, I don't know how to do this video thing. And we're all like, yeah, okay. No, hang on a minute. Let me go ahead and tell you how to do this.
These out here looking all bad. They don't have proper audio. They don't have proper lighting. It was kind of funny. It was kind of funny. So, you love the Pixel Buds. So I guess I'm curious, what is your current smartphone of choice? What are you rocking these days?
I am rocking 2. I'm obviously rocking the Pixel 4 XL. And I am the iPhone 11 Pro Max.
Oh, you got both. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, do you have a preference, iOS or Android, or do you just don't care?
I'm always like, I love Pixels. Like, I'm getting ready to do a video probably in the next, I don't know, 5 days or maybe a week or so, of like a retro. I have a Nexus 6. So it's about 6 years old. Wow. I have had basically every, I guess, Pixel flavored device, going back all the way to the G1, and all the way through. I've just always loved that. My favorite phone of all time is the Nexus 4. I don't know why, but I just did. I loved it. Okay. So I'm always Android when it comes to recording my content. Like, if I'm gonna like go out and record a video, it's Apple, no question. On the iPhone, it's the best video you can get. If I need like to get one shot from a photo, I'm taking my Pixel.
Okay, so. Before I ask you my next question, shout out to the 20 of you all that are watching this podcast live tonight. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of VypDrive with me and my dude, Scott Peachy. I appreciate you guys rocking each and every week on the podcast, or each and every episode at this point. Not every week, it's almost like every day at this point. But thank you guys for rocking. I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you would like to support or donate to the podcast, you do have the option to super chat. That is open, not required, but anything that you're willing to contribute, greatly appreciate it. If you want to become a channel member, you have the option to join and become a channel member. I know on Android, you guys have the button. On iOS, you probably don't have the button. So let me give you that option. So if you're watching this on an iOS device, I just posted a link in the chat that will allow you to join, because for whatever reason, we don't have the join option on iOS devices. That's another story for another day. Also, if you don't want YouTube taking 30% of your super chat donation, you can hit the link that Janosin just pasted to buy me a coffee. Again, none of this stuff is required. It's just a different way that you guys can support the podcast if you choose to, whatever it is. I'm just appreciate you guys rocking out and watching. So thank you guys for hanging out with me and Scott tonight. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Shout out to those of y'all listening on audio only this week. Thank you for listening to another episode of VypDrive with me and Scott Peachy. I appreciate you guys supporting the podcast each and every week. If you would like to support or donate to the podcast, those links will be in the show notes. Not required, but anything that you're willing to contribute is greatly, greatly appreciated. Also, if you want to check out Scott and his content, his info will be in the show notes as well. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Also, if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving a rating or review, as it helps more people discover the podcast. And we are trying to get back into the top 200 of tech podcasts. So anything that you could do to leave that rating or review on Apple Podcasts will be greatly appreciated. And one more thing, since we are on the podcast and you guys obviously support the podcast since you're watching live, I'm going to show you guys some podcast merch that I recently just made. So if you are watching this live, you are looking at the new VypDrive t-shirt. I made a t-shirt and I made a hoodie. On the back of the t-shirt, it says the podcast about tech. On the front of the t-shirt, it says VypDrive. Also have a hoodie with the same thing. VypDrive on the front, podcast on the podcast about tech on the back. If you are interested in purchasing any of the merch, Janosin pasted the link in the chat. Again, not required, but yes, the podcast now has official merch. So there it is, baby. There it is. Appreciate you guys rocking out with me again on another episode of VypDrive. I'm gonna take a drink here, and then we will continue.
Absolutely, man. You're everywhere, Vype. I respect your hustle, brother. I do. You are everywhere. You're making moves, shake and bake.
Listen, man, we out here working, baby. We out here working.
Always be grinding, baby. Always be grinding.
No doubt. So, Scott,
Yes.
you just said that you are a big lover of Pixel devices.
I am.
And there was a recent tech fight that brought up an interesting question, which I want to present to you. Let me see if I remember the question correctly. I think the question went on along the lines of, do you feel like all Android devices should be made to run stock Android and only stock Android?
Oh, that is a great question. My goodness. So I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth, because thank God this is not a tech fight.
Let's go. Let's go.
I'm going to say that I understand why they don't, but I love the power of choice. So like, I love the fact that I can get a very good Google experience when I'm buying a Pixel device, but also when you have the Galaxy, like I actually borrowed Tuna Tech, the guy, Jason Yanantuno, the one you couldn't pronounce at the beginning of the show. Right. That's how you do it. I actually borrowed his Galaxy Fold. He was a great supporter of the channel. I appreciate him very, very much for that. And I fell in love with it, but that also has a very unique Samsung related skin onto it. I get why Android does it. I prefer the Google version, the Pixel line of Android. I'm just not really a huge fan. I've tried the S20 Plus, it's okay. It's just not my cup of tea. But what Android folks have to remember is when you have the power of choice like that, you also lose the support of some developers that make some really cool apps. Perfect example, Moment. I love them. They make third-party gear for their for photographers and videographers. They cut support for the Android app because it was just too fragmented. And I understand that. So that's the thing where Apple really has the advantage. Like I love, and I made a video about this massive addiction to photo and video apps for Apple iOS because they're just so freaking good. And for Pixel, it's lacking So you don't get as many creative apps because, to be honest, it's just hard to develop on Android. That's what you get with the power of choice. Those are some of the things you have to live with when you live with Android.
So if I understood you correctly, you are saying that you do not believe that all Android OEMs should be required to run stock Android on their device.
No, okay. I think they should have the power of the way that they want to run it, as long as it's a unique customer experience to them.
I completely agree with you, because when I heard the question, I'm like, there is no way in hell all Android devices should be made to run stock Android. I mean, you are basically going against the very fabric of Android. Like you said, Android is all about choice. Mm-hmm. The foundation of the code is open source, which allows you to take the code and alter it and manipulate it to how you want it to present it to your customers. Bingo. I mean, I know back in the day, it wasn't too long ago, I think maybe 6-7 years ago, where we had Google Play editions of phones, but those were choices. You could get the Google Play edition, or you can get that OEM intended Android skin. So the Google Play edition wasn't the only game in town. There were other options outside of that. But to make it a universe where you only have like Samsung, Google, LG, Huawei, they all run stock Android, that would be boring AF. How would these manufacturers differentiate their devices from each other if they're only running stock Android? One of the things that I love about Samsung is that they throw every feature in the kitchen sink on their phone. That's why I prefer Galaxy devices. I have used Galaxies, I've used Pixels, I've used other companies, I use OnePlus devices, but I'm always found myself coming back to Samsung because they have those additional features that make me feel like all James Bond-like, and I can just do different things on Samsung phones that I can't do on a Pixel or OnePlus. So
100%.
Absolutely. So I'm just like, no, there's no way. I like I'm like you, man. I like the power of choice on Android.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if it was a situation where you maybe they created something where you got locked in and you couldn't share Android apps between different phones. Perfect example. The biggest thing that OnePlus always had a big crutch on is, well, the camera. The camera it was good, but it wasn't great in comparison to a lot of other Android devices. But everybody talked about like, well, just load Gcam on it. Just load Gcam on it. But what happens if you couldn't do that because of the way the operating system was architected? And so now, because of it's only this way or only this way, you don't have the ability to port those apps over. Potentially, I don't know if that might be the case, but the idea is you could run into the situation where OnePlus might be hobbled by the fact that they've made a very OnePlus specific type operating system that doesn't speak with, Pixels or Samsungs or anything like that.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm all about these different Android OEMs being able to put their own flavor on Android. I think that's why the Pixel line is so important to Google, because the Google Pixel phones allow Google to present Android as they intended.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, it's almost like working on a piece of art and having somebody else take your work of art and like make their own alteration to it. It's no longer your work of art. It's their work of art at that point. So that's why, like I said, that's why I feel like the Pixel line is so important to Google, because the Pixel represents the purest form of Android that Google had intended it to be. And that's why they have the Pixel line out there, because it allows them to implement different features. Like last year, they implemented Project Solely, and they implemented their own version of Face Unlock, which was supposed to be almost a secure Face ID, but it kind of came up short. But at least they were able to attempt that, because that was their version of Android. It wasn't Samsung's One UI, or it wasn't Huawei's. I forget what the hell their Huawei UI, whatever they call it. I forgot what they call it, but yeah.
Yeah. Oxygen? No, that's not Oxygen. That's
OnePlus. It wasn't Oxygen. Yeah. But like I said,
I'm with you.
The Pixel line, that's Google baby. They can do what they want with that. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so we are halfway through the podcast, so I am not gonna let you escape. We got to talk about the tech fight, baby. Oh my lord! Yeah, baby. You know it coming. You knew it was coming.
I was just coming.
So I'm gonna explain this again for those of y'all that are not familiar with what the tech fights are. So these tech fights right now are happening every Saturday night. They are live tech debates, usually between two individuals. Although last Saturday they had a tag team match, but usually these tech fights are live tech debates between two people. What happens is that the moderator, which is Techie Mike, Saturday Night Tech Fights in the chat right now, he throws out an argument like the question I just asked: should all Android OEMs be required to run stock Android? And the two debaters will have to take either side of the argument. So one would have to argue, yes, they should, and the other person will have to argue, no, they shouldn't, and they will have to validate their arguments, justify their arguments. So that is the crux of the tech fights, their live tech debates. So our buddy Scott here has been a long time judge of the tech fights, and you all should see the emotions that come out of his face when Mike chooses him. He's like, yo, Scott, who you choosing? And then Scott, he's touching his face like Craig Federici at the iPhone 10 announcement. I mean, he just doesn't know what to do. So he's stroking his beard. He's like having a midlife crisis over there. You can see the agony on his face. It's just amazing, Scott. So talk to us about what is going through your mind at those moments when Mike is like, yo, Scott, render your decision. You're just like, you're going through the motion, man. It's all over your face, baby.
Oh, so we had been teasing this back and forth tag team for a long time. So I think Ben was in the chat for a little bit too. Ben was the very first individual fight that I had, and it was a knockdown drag out. Vype, actually, you were one of the judges. You were the judge that voted against me in the 5th round when I could have knocked out Ben, but that's okay. I forgive you for that. Wow. That is fine. But it was a long time. So Ben and I always joked about like tag team, sign us up. We're in. Got all the way through it. And as soon as Mike asked was like, hey, you want to be this? And I was like, well, who are the other people? And they said it was Sean Brooks, a wonderful creator from Chicago. And then you had Dobo, Ken, who's another awesome creator of drones. The guy is just a character from Florida. And then Ben from the UK and myself. And I was like, yeah, let's do this 100%. But I did tell Mike, I was like, hey, these guys know cameras way more than I do. Like, cause they're like walking encyclopedias. But I was so amped to go. I was like, I'll figure it out. I'll learn cameras in 3 days, basically. And yeah, that so signed me up and I was ready to go. And I just couldn't let it go. And I'll be honest, Sean and Dobo, they were the favorites, 100% hands down. They know their stuff, no question. And then Ben and I had we knew what was up. Ben and I had talked. Like it's not an uncommon thing. I had 11 pages of notes.
Wow, that is intense. 11 pages of notes. What's up, man?
Yeah. So like I'm kind of like a student when it comes to things like that. That's just kind of how I am thinking of it. I'm always learning. I'm taking notes on about everything that I read. And I was ready, man. I was amped. Oh, I was ready. And then those last couple rounds, like, who do you want to go? Then I was like, yeah, like I'll take it. I wanted it. Like I wanted to win it almost more for myself. And I came out and put it on them.
You got the job done.
Put it on them.
Well, actually, what I was trying to get at is what do you be thinking of when you're a judge of the tech fights? Like, what didn't go into your head when you're a judge and Mike calls on you to make those decisions and you're going through the motions and you don't know which way to go? What are you thinking in those moments when Mike is calling on you when you're a judge?
Oh my God. When the arguments are so good, because that's what happens a lot of times, is like you get into situations. I mean, if you've watched the tech fights, you kind of know when one side's just putting it down against the other side. It's fairly obvious. But when you get two people that know their stuff, as a judge, you have to remove your own opinion, because for these questions, because we're all so close to tech, it's very easy for our opinions to come in and be like, yeah, I'm going to pick that other argument because that's my opinion and I side that way. But what goes through my head is, okay, remove your opinion. So I remove my own opinion, then I listen to them. And then it usually gets down so close. It's like, oh my God, I can't pick this because they were both great. I don't want to pick this. Why does this happen? And then I start to touch my face. And then it's like, oh God. Okay. So like, I don't know why, but like stroking my beard is somehow going to tell me, yep, I'm going to go with this one. No, the beard has nothing to do with it. It's just like a nervous tick. And so like, I'll do it and then be like, okay, it's this person. I do like how we've been able to give the reasons why, but some of it's just so difficult because we're talking like just a couple words and some sentences. Like one time it was Adam. Adam said like one thing that was just a little off, and it was just like that little thing that did it. That's how close it can be in some of these rounds.
Yeah, like I said, I'll be seeing the look on your face, the look of agony as you're trying to come up with a decision to choose who wins and who loses. It's all in your hands.
Dude, I love people. Like I genuinely am like this big open gregarious guy. This is who I am at my core. I do have a mean side if I have to show it, but like I love people so much, and I'm like, man, like I don't want to tell them no. I'm a people pleaser, man. Like I love being able to tell people like that was a damn good argument. I would love for you to continue, but this other argument was just a little bit better, and I'm sorry I stepped on your children. It's kind of like that, and I don't want that.
You know what, Scott? As a judge in tech fight, sometimes you just have to have the gusto to be able to finish him. I mean, you got to be able to do it. You got to be able to do it.
God, it's hard, dude. It's hard.
I know. So talk about the difference between being a fighter and a judge, because they are way different avenues.
Way different. I actually think it's harder to be a judge than it is a fighter. And so as a fighter, you go out and you just put it all out on the line. It's like if you're an individual fighter, you get the questions ahead of time. There's a good chance you know your stuff. Like you're going to go in, you will probably have read those, probably think about how you're going to structure your arguments one side or the other. But like for me, that's pretty straightforward. Like I've got a narrative. I know what I want to say. I know how I want to do it. And then I get my couple minutes at the end of it to try to go back and forth with that person. So like, to me, that's easier. But as a judge, you have to sit there and go, I'm following along with the argument that they're trying to make on this one side, then listen to the other side and you go, oh God, like that's a really good one too. Maybe I hadn't thought of it that way. And because that's a like kind of tugging at your heartstrings. And then when you get to the round where they're going at each other, it's like, let me tell you something. Like you hang on to let me get my earrings here. I'm going to take my earrings off. I'm going to tell you how it is.
Oh man.
Like, that sometimes is really difficult because like they're going at each other. They're attacking the discussion and not the person, which is something I've always loved about the tech fights is they'll attack the discussion and not the individual. But it's like, damn, I see really both sides of this. It is so difficult to just say a name after you've heard two really good argued points. Way harder for me to be a judge than it is a fighter, hands down.
Oh, your face tells the entire story. Shout out to Tech 702 for the super chat. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. He recently acquitted himself very well in a tech fight, one of the tech battle royale. So shout out to Tech 702. The dude is legit.
Very legit. Very, very good. Really good fighter. Really came in and knew his stuff. Really presented great arguments. And the other thing, oh my God, it's like the other thing is all the judges have different flavors. Like I judge one way, you judge one way, Adrian judges some way.
You know how Adrian judges? She's all about that drama, man. She's all about that presentation and stuff.
She is. Oh, she's out there for the shenanigans. It's like, oh, we're not going out like that.
Right. She will literally see a knockout. She'd be like, no, we're not doing that today. I'm going to choose the other way just so the fight can prolong. Let me prolong the fight. I'm like, what the knockout? What are you talking about, Adrian? What are you doing out here?
Love it.
Oh, but David fighters out here. Oh man, she's a great woman though. She's awesome, but man, she tripped me out with that stuff.
I love Adrian to death. She is wonderful. Like, and that was one thing I was telling Mike about. It was like these Saturday night tech fights have connected me with audiences that I wouldn't normally have and individuals that I normally maybe not have interacted with. And I had a chance to lean on people's actual expertise outside of tech because I know them, like I know them more on a personal level. So I get to get their insight on a lot of more, whatever their professional life would be. So God, I love it so much.
Definitely. So talk about when you're a judge and you're in that kind of like that after like round. So usually the way the tech fight can go, might give each fighter a minute and a half to argue their side of the argument. And then after they both had a chance to argue, he gives them 2 minutes to go at each other. I was watching the fight between you and Dobo and all of them last week, and I could barely make out anything that you all were saying in that 2 minutes that y'all were arguing. So how do you as a judge, Scott, kind of try to decipher any of that stuff, because it's all gibberish at that point?
It is a lot of gibberish. So typically some of the things that I'm looking for is how are they, is one getting like more aggressive than the other? So like that's where I think Adrian does a really good job, where it talks about like the agitation. Do you get agitated or almost thrown off your game a little bit for how the other person is going? Perfect example, and I'm not saying that I'm really great at this because I'm not. Dobo was using the Chewbacca mask in one of the rounds.
Oh yeah,
trying to throw me off, and I heard it. Now, as a judge, like, I'm waiting to pay attention to see how my reaction could have been to that. I could have laughed, I could have broke down, my whole argument could have fallen apart. That's one of those like little nuancy things in the 2 minutes back and forth is can the fighters continue to keep going, making the points that they're trying to make while listening to the argument of the other person and then pushing it back at them. It's like this crazy cycle, and you can see it a lot. Like Ben and Sean's done it really well. If you go back and listen to Sean and Dobo's original fight, you can see Dobo going at Sean picking up, hearing what he's saying, and then kind of throwing it back at him. It's like watching this weird dance between two individuals where they're making their own points, but hearing what the other person says, and then really quickly on a dime, flipping what they're saying and then shooting it back at them. It is fascinating to listen to, but that's what I listen to is, are they trying to make their points, hearing what the other person is saying, refuting it, and then shooting something else back across the bow? But you're right. It is so hard. I'm exhausted after being a judge. Exhausted.
That 2 minute round is like, there's like nothing but gibberish and like just verbal blow being thrown at each fighter. It's just craziness. But yeah,
love it.
And somehow as a judge, you have to somehow decipher that stuff and try to pick a winner between the round. I don't know how y'all do it, but you do it, man. So big up to you, dude. You do a good job.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I love it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And we love having you, especially you and your facial reactions as you're being called on to render your decision. So we got to talk about Zach Talk second in Super Chat. Thank you, Zach. But he's asking a hard question, Scott. He wants to know, Scott Peachy is a hot dog and sandwich.
Vype, we were on Friday Night Vype for this.
Oh, yeah, we were.
We talked about it. We talked with Greg. Greg is very wrong. I'm going to say it right now. Greg was wrong. Vype, you and I were on the same page. The hot dog is not a sandwich.
No.
A hamburger is a sandwich.
Yes.
That's it. The answer is hot dog, not a sandwich. Hamburger is a sandwich. Vype and I are right. Greg's wrong. I don't make the rules. That's just how it goes.
And as the greatest wrestler of all time would say.
And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so.
Yeah. Woo, there you go, baby. There you go. That is the correct answer. That's the correct answer. So you currently own a Pixel 4 XL. You own an iPhone 11. Are you picking up any new phones this year? Are you looking forward to any devices coming out this year?
Actually, the 4A. I'm really excited about the 4A. The Pixel 3A XL, because I have that around here somewhere. The 3A XL, loved it. Battery life was incredible, bananas on it. I did a video, or at least I think I did a video, or might have a video coming up where I talk about even a year later, the Pixel 3A is still a fantastic device. It's phenomenal. I'm really interested to see what Google does with their A line. I'm very excited about the 4A because I think you're going to get all the goodies and the goodness of the 4XL, and it's going to be in a smaller form factor, which I think is going to be better for Google overall. I think people really miss the small form factor, and you can see it in some of the like the XR and the iPhone SE sales is people want those small footprints. There's a reason why that exists. And I'm interested to see how Google is going to play in that space because they really dominated the mid-range pricing when it came to Android because of the 3A and the 3A XL. I want to see what they're going to do with the 4A because, I mean, to be honest, iPhone came out and said, hey, I can record in 4K 60 frames a second with a sub $400 phone. What are you going to do? And so I really want to see how they're going to respond to that.
Yeah, the competition down in the mid-range game this year is astounding. You got TCL, you got Samsung, you got Apple. Yep. I mean, you got all these companies battling in an area where they really haven't battled before. Usually they're battling at the top-end flagship level, but they are all coming down to the mid-range because consumer buying habits are changing. For the last 2 years, the entry-level iPhone has been the best-selling iPhone, the 10R and the 11. It hasn't been the Pro models or any of the bigger models in the entry-level. So we are definitely, it seems like we as consumers are changing the way we spend money on a smartphone. And I got to believe with this pandemic going around, that's not going to change anytime soon. So the way that these companies are putting more of their effort down into the mid-range game is very, very, buying habits have changed drastically and will continue to change drastically because of what's going on with the pandemic and the fallout from the pandemic. I mean, I mean, it's about to be a mighty, mighty battle down there in the mid-range game, man. And I'm here for it. We gonna see what's going on down there.
I love it because like I remember way back before the 3, everybody was just, and I was one of them, was killing them for not having a great chipset, like a very old chipset in it. And then it came out and just was phenomenal. And everybody was like, okay, wait a minute. Maybe you don't need the latest and greatest chipset to actually have a phenomenal phone. And this is where I think Apple's done a really good job of saying, well, okay, now hang on a minute. I know it may not have the best internals, but once you look at the whole picture of what I'm trying to provide you, you come to my ecosystem. This is some of the expectations that you have. You know, again, Apple doesn't always have the best and brightest. Like it took them over a year and a half to even just get 4G when it first came out.
Oh, yeah.
But that didn't mean that their 3G devices were terrible, just they're a little bit older, but the experience was still even better than some 4Gs, especially when you go to like an HTC Thunderbolt, which was just hot garbage when it first came out. Like it was bad. But the idea is it sold the whole ecosystem, and that's where I think the 3A really did well. Is older stuff still ran like a champ, still runs like a champ.
Yeah, I had that HTC Thunderbolt, and the battery life was
awful. Yep.
I mean, I remember I took it to a WWE Monday Night Raw event, and I think it was close to a full charge when the show started. But when the show ended, which was like 2 or 3 hours later, it was pretty much dead. Like, it was rough, man.
That was the toughest thing. It was like 2 hours max on LTE, but you could download like crazy.
Oh yeah. Back when there was no one on LTE, and the download speed were actually like fast back then. For what fast was back then, they were definitely fast back then. But a few minutes ago, you were talking about smaller phones. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on the rumored 5.4-inch iPhone 12 that's supposedly coming in a few months.
While I do think that the smaller footprint phones will serve a purpose, I really love the big iPhone. Like I love the Pro Max. I will always want the bigger iPhone. Now that iPhone has gotten big and I can see what this big, bright, beautiful screen can do, I don't want to go back to a smaller phone. Like I just don't, because it's just amazing. I think it makes sense. I just want the bigger phone. Like that's for me, it's like what it is. It's like it's just so nice to create on a big phone. Like I love taking pictures of my children. I love taking videos. That's it for me. Like that, the big phones for me. That's where it's at.
Especially now that with iOS 14, we finally have picture-in-picture on iPhone. I mean, having a big screen iPhone is just going to be heaven this year. I'm with you, man. I'm definitely putting my order in for the 12 Pro Max. I'm about to live it up.
I have to. I love the way it looks. It's like the best, brightest. It's way brighter than my Pixel 4. Holy crap! In the daylight, oh my god, it's not even close.
Google,
and I love my Pixel.
I'm convinced Google is allergic to brightness. They are allergic to it. Literally, they're allergic to brightness. I don't understand it. The Pixel phones are always so damn dim. Like, can you please pay your light bill, Google? Please, thank you very much. What's going on, baby? What's going on?
It's great at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
that's it. Like 11 o'clock in the morning, you're totally toast.
Literally. All right, there is no way, God, I can let you out of this podcast without talking about PS5 versus Xbox Series X, baby. So how are you feeling about the next generation console?
I am not a huge gamer, but I will say this. I have always been and will always be Team Xbox when it comes to this. I'm not a PS5 guy. I'm not a PlayStation guy. I've always been an Xbox guy. I still have an Xbox. I may not game very much, but I still have an Xbox. I do know the PS5 looks like the PS5 looks weird. Like that much I do know. It just looks strange. Like to me, it looks like I don't really know what they were going for with that. I was like, okay. I mean, I guess like I just really like the way that the Xbox looks compared to it. But I'm not much of a gamer. Like I hate to admit it. I used to be when NCAA football was still around. That's when I was a gamer.
Yes.
That was my jam. Like I was a domination station. Ohio State and me, peanut butter and jelly, cheese and wine.
You were running around with Marie Claire. No wonder you were dominating. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I have a big old giant Ohio State tattoo on me.
Oh, you don't mess around. You serious?
I graduated from the university.
I about to say you must be an alum. Yeah, okay.
I am. Yep. I'm weird. I'm weird like that. Like I'm more of I watch all my stuff on YouTube. I don't watch TV. I don't watch TV. I don't play games. But when I do, it's always on Xbox.
I do watch Netflix, but as far as regular network television, I don't watch that
Yeah.
at all. But yeah,
The news is depressing, man. If I want to go watch something depressing, there's a ton of internet articles that'll tell me that.
yeah, all the time. Yeah, I cannot tell you the last time I watched an actual newscast. It's probably been over 10 years, longer than that, much longer than that. I'm done with it.
I'm with you.
So I guess it's safe to say that you will not be getting the Xbox Series X then.
No, I won't be. I'm going to actually take all that money that I would normally get and probably end up putting it back into YouTube because that's just what I do. So I don't really know what's next. Maybe lights.
Like a true creator. I like
that's right. I'm always investing into the business. I got to figure out a way to. I would love to make this full time, but man, it's just tough, man. It's tough to take that risk in the economy right now.
Definitely.
So yeah.
I would.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was saying, speaking of putting it back into the channel, I see that you are using a Rode Pod mic. Have you ever thought about getting the Rode Procaster?
I would love to, actually. And there's a chance that I might, given the fact that this arm is now finally bending and dying. This is a $15 Neewer special, but I'm going to be getting the 99 PSA 1 from Rode. Right. And I don't know, a microphone might just accidentally fall in my shopping cart and might accidentally show back up. I can't help these things. They just fall in accidentally on Amazon. When they fall in the cart, they have to stay in the cart. You know the rules. Again, those are the rules. I don't make them up.
I know the rules. And let me tell you, if you do happen to have a Rode Procaster fall accidentally into your lap, you will not be disappointed. I can promise you.
Mm-hmm. Amen to that. So like
the mic, given the fact that you have the Rodecaster Pro already, so you already got one half of the puzzle. Now you just need the other half, and you are just God's limit for you, man.
Dude, I want one. I want to get one. So I think that's probably going to be my next one. It was either that or a Shure for a while. Was it the SM58?
Oh, are you probably talking about the SM7B? I'm guessing.
That's a one. That's the
one. I would say since you have the Rodecaster Pro, get the Procaster.
Okay, it's actually. That's how I was leaning because, like, I know you can change it, but like the Rode stuff just plays together so nicely.
Yeah. I don't know if you were around when I did the live stream last week where I compared the two directly using the Rode Procaster or the Rodecaster Pro, excuse me, and people told me without a doubt I sounded better with the Procaster over the Shure SM7B using the Rodecaster Pro. So, I mean, and it makes sense because, like you said, they're meant to work together. So, yeah.
To always have the nice one. I love the setting of big bottom.
Yeah,
the big bottom. That's where my favorite setting on the Rodecaster.
Yeah, I have it on. Get real close to mic. Get that big bottom proximity effect.
Big bottom.
Get that boomy sound on your voice. Make your voice go boom.
Mm-hmm. That boom going like Dobo. I put it down on you in the 5th round. Sean, you were in that 6th round.
What was that?
I said Dobo. I put it on you in the 5th round, and Sean, you were that 6th round.
Talking trash. Oh, he's talking trash. Oh, I love it, man. I love it, man. I love it. Oh, man. So, I was looking through like your content on your tech channel, and you don't really have like a niche per se. Do you have any plans on like niching down into a particular subject area, or are you just going to continue to cover general tech?
Yeah, I went back and forth with like the niching down. Like, I to be honest, like I almost quit YouTube probably last year, and it was one of those things like I had lost kind of the drive to do it. I didn't really feel like the channel had any type of direction because I hadn't niched down. And I had some really good conversations with a lot of people like, hey, maybe you don't really feel like you have to niche down, and you just be okay with the fact that you're just not going to see the growth in the numbers. Like goes back to like, what's the purpose of what you're trying to get at with your channel? And so for me, like some of the things I go back to is I have this mantra in life. My mantra is to make a positive impact in one person's life every single day. And a lot of time I can bang that out before I even leave the house between my wife and my kids. And then every day at work, I have the ability to make that positive impact. And I think that by the videos that I make, even if I have somebody go, maybe I don't want to make that purchase, or maybe I do want to make that purchase. That's that one positive impact that I get a chance to make. And I can cross so many different types of people and things that they're looking at. Plus, I just have so much fun creating so many different layers of content. So I actually have just accepted the fact that I probably will never have huge subscriber numbers And that's okay. And just because most of the time, most of my watch time and minutes and things like that come from search. So if it's most people want to watch it from search, I'm going to have the dedicated folks that come out every Wednesday, come to places like this, come to places like Saturday Night Tech Fights. Like those are the ones, like that's the lasting community that I want to build. But that's kind of where I'm at.
That's a good way to be, man. Like at the end of the day, you got to enjoy what you make. And as long as you enjoy what you make, everything else all in place. So we got to answer a very important question that Mike is asking in the chat here. He wants to know, should he get one? Now, I'm guessing he's talking about the Rodecaster Pro. Yes, you should. But if you have the extra money, you should definitely get a Rode Procaster microphone with it, because that would just complete the setup and you would just be Lord of the tech space, bro. So, go ahead.
I would love to see, what I would love to see is somehow let's see if we can't get something like that sent to you, because and I've told Mike this is, I think what he's creating on Saturday night is such a big deal. So no question, I think you should get one. I would love to figure out a way to get you one so you don't have to buy it. But I'm telling you right now, if you have that, you have so much control with that. The sound bites and the people you can chime in. You can have people come in, like maybe you want to have like a special guest come in and they can call into the line and say, hey, this is so-and-so, and I want to ask this person one particular question. The sky really is the limit. And you can see that that's kind of the next step in the evolution of Saturday Night Tech Fights. So I would say yes. Also with what Vype just said is definitely get a Rode mic specifically made for the Rodecaster Pro.
Yes. I mean, they might just take the next level. I mean, it's nice that you have the Rodecaster Pro. I mean, having that all-in-one podcast studio is legit. Might to go with it, you next level. You James Bond status. Nobody can stop you, BB. Nobody can stop you at that point.
Amen.
Nobody can stop you. But Scott Peachy, man, excellent conversation, sir. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for having me. I love this. Sometime when you're not podcasting every single hour of the day, I'd love to have you on my show on Wednesdays. So I'm going to book you. Well, at this point, you're probably booked out till 2021, but we'll make it happen.
Yeah, man. Just hit me up in the DMs. Let me know, and I'll make time for you, man.
Absolutely, my brother.
Definitely. Before we get out of here, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on the tweet machine at Scott Peachy on Twitter. You can find me at the Scott Peachy on Instagram, technically speaking on YouTube. And I'm trying to do Twitch. Look, it's not, I'm trying to put my live stuff on Twitch. Literally no one follows me, but it's the technically speaking, I think, on Twitch. I should probably get that down. I'll figure it out one day. But the big three are where I'm at: YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter.
If you guys want to go subscribe to Scott or check out his YouTube channel, El Jefe just posted it in the chat for you guys to do that. You should go check him out. He's good people, no doubt.
Brother El Jefe, thank you so much.
Awesome, El Jefe, always on the grind, man. Appreciate you, El Jefe. But thank you guys for watching the podcast live tonight. I appreciate you guys rocking out with me and Scott Peachy. If you super chatted, became a channel member, or did any of that good stuff, thank you. I appreciate you guys showing up and rocking out with me each and every week on this podcast. So thank you guys for watching live. Shout out to those of y'all listening on audio only. Thank you for listening to another episode of VypDrive. Thank you for hanging with me and Scott Peachy this week. I appreciate you guys. If you want to go check out Scott Peachy's content, his info will be in the show notes. So definitely go down there and give him a look. Also, if you want to support or donate to the podcast, definitely check the show notes. That information is in there. Not required, but anything that you're willing to contribute, greatly appreciate it. Also, if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, please consider leaving that rating or review so we can have more people discover the podcast and get this bad boy back into the top 200 of tech podcasts on Apple Podcasts, because that would be awesome. And I'm mad I got kicked out of the top 200. I'm trying to get back into the top 200. So please go down there and leave that rating or review. If you happen to be listening, or if you happen to be listening on Apple Podcasts, if I can speak correctly, that'd be great. But thank you guys for listening on audio. Appreciate it. And for those of y'all watching that are still here, if you are not subscribed to my main channel, please hit the link that you know and just paste in the chat. I make videos covering Apple news, product reviews, things like that. It is an Apple channel. So if you like Apple products or you are down with the Apple ecosystem and all that good stuff, you should definitely go check me out on my main channel. But until the next time, people, this your boy Viper, the man about tech. You know where to find me. So come back for more.